After a fake trailer for Thanksgiving played in between the Grindhouse double feature all the way back in 2007, fans have wanted a full-length movie. And for a while there, it seemed like it was never gonna happen. But then in 2023, it did. Was it worth the wait? Well, today that's what we're gonna be talking about. So, let's get spooky. Greetings, everyone. My name is Nightshade. This is The Night Shift, a home for all things spooky, and today we're looking at Thanksgiving, released in 2023. So like I said in the opening, there was a lot of hype built up around this film, and I wasn't part of that hype like during the first wave. It wasn't until much later that I actually hopped on the hype train for this film. I never watched the double feature in theaters or anything like that, so I didn't see the fake trailers for Machete or, Thanksgiving. I never saw it. I was never part of that first official hype, but years later, when YouTube was, just starting to become what it is today, I saw the fake trailer and was like, holy shit, that would be a great idea for a movie. I hope this thing comes to be. Because one, there are not nearly enough Thanksgiving themed slashers. There's like 2 good ones and a bunch of really bad ones. Like there is a few, but there aren't any good ones. There's 2 decent ones and many bad ones. There's not very many good Thanksgiving themed horror films, and that's a shame. I've actually already filmed this video before, exactly 1 year ago, whenever it was Thanksgiving week last year, and I lost all the footage, and that really sucked, and it was really disheartening. So I'm glad that we get to do it here and now. Turkeys aren't the only thing being carved this week, so let's go ahead and get into the review. For this film, I'm going to be breaking it down into 2 categories, the positives and the negatives. Let you know what I liked about it and what I didn't like about it. Then when we're done with that, I will talk about my favorite scene in this film and let you know exactly why it is my favorite scene. And when all of that is done, we are going to score this film and then get on out of here. And normally during this part of the video, I have separate chapter title cards that pop up, and I'm not going to do that for this one. For this video, and maybe more videos down the line, just to save myself a little bit of editing time to be able to get this video out faster, I'm going to not do that and just tell you guys the positives, talk about it, and then move on to the next, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I'll still talk specifically about the positives and the negatives and let you know exactly what they are. It's just just to save myself a little bit of time in the editing portion, which is the longest part of making these videos. So now with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the bright side of things with the very first positive I have is the story. The story is pretty solid. It's simple, but it's pretty good. So during Black Friday, a bunch of people end up losing their lives, unfortunately, during the panic and mayhem of Black Friday. And 1 year later, on Thanksgiving, some of the survivors get killed by a man in a John Carver mask. And it's up to the main cast of kids to solve the murder mystery whodunit. So the storyline of this one is more along the lines of like a Scream or an I Know What You Did Last Summer. It definitely has those post-Scream 90s vibes. And I'm a huge fan of those films, and I'm a huge fan of those vibes, and I'm a huge fan of that type of storytelling, and that's why the story absolutely had to make it here on my positives list. And going along with the story, I have to talk about the next positive, which is the setup. The chaotic scenes at the very beginning of the movie with the Black Friday stuff, awesome. I don't know if you've ever worked retail during Black Friday, but it is a nightmare, and I feel like they captured the nightmare pretty good. Like it's a little over the top in the violence portion of this, but people be acting stupid on Black Friday, and I could absolutely believe that this would happen. Matter of fact, the very first Black Friday I ever worked was at a Walmart, and my buddy Tyler got bit to the point that he needed to leave the premises and go get stitches. Like it split the back of his arm because he wasn't unwrapping the pallet fast enough, I guess. I also saw 2 old ladies fist fight over a parking spot in the parking lot because I was the cart pusher, but I also assisted, inside, pulling out the pallets of goods that people were fighting over. But there's a lot of chaos that happens on Black Fridays. Not so much anymore. It's not as bad as it used to be, but like it got pretty hectic there for a while. So the setup, it's near and dear to my heart, And I absolutely believe it because, you know, I've worked several Black Fridays and I will never again, ever. So the stuff that set this whole film in motion at the beginning of the film with the Black Friday tragedy, I absolutely buy into it because, like I said, I've worked crazy Black Fridays and I believe it. I buy into it because it is a nightmare. But, you know, those tragedies led to our next positive, which is John Carver. I think that he's a pretty excellent slasher. I don't know if he's good enough to be iconic yet. We would need more movies in the franchises if they're at all interested in doing that. But John Carver is, he's a formidable entry into the slasher genre. You know, he's wearing the John Carver mask, which is like a cheap vacuum formed mask, which I love those. I think something that looks cheap and off the shelf is excellent for a slasher film because it's not trying to be scary, it just naturally is. And I know that these movies were made for the mask, but they were based off of a very specific painting, and it looks like something that you could get off the shelf. Like one of these cheap plastic vacuum form masks are scarier to me, given the situations, than, you know, some of those really try hard, scary movie masks that just, they're trying way too hard to be scary and they just don't, it just doesn't register as actually scary. It comes off more corny, if that makes any sense. For instance, in Halloween Ends, the one positive thing that I will say about it is that Corey Cunningham's like cheap plastic scarecrow mask, I think that was genuinely scary, especially, you know, whenever it's covered in blood. It's this nice innocent looking mask, but, you know, the context of what's happening and somebody dying and blood being spattered onto it, I think it looks really cool and it gives a genuinely sinister vibe, and that's the type of vibe that I really, really enjoy. And I think the John Carver mask actually captures that type of horrific, it's in that vein. So like, it's an innocent enough looking mask. It looks like something that people would actually wear. It definitely has like Guy Fawkes masks, like, you know, V for Vendetta, the Guy Fawkes mask. It has that vibe, and it just, something about it looks inherently creepy, even though it's not a scary mask. It looks scary because of the context. And John Carver is extremely brutal. Like, I like the getup of the Pilgrim, and then this will actually put us into our next positive, which is the kills. I actually really love the kills in this movie. I think they were all done very, very well. All of these kills were done practically. A few of them had like VFX enhancements and stuff like that, which is to be expected, but the majority of the full kill itself, absolutely 100% done practically. And I will always say that you know, practical kills, practical effects, always better than VFX. Like, I can understand, you know, having to digitally remove like wires and stuff like that. But, you know, other than that little stuff, all of this stuff was done practically, and I love that. And, you know, there's some moments in here where it gets you genuinely squeamish, and it's a fun time. It's a fun time. We don't get a lot of kills like this often in like mainstream pictures. So, you know, whenever we get a pretty solid amount of the red stuff that isn't really skipped out on, I approve. I love it wholeheartedly. So the last bit of positivity that I do have to say is that, you know, the vibe of this is awesome and it's fun. It is a fun movie. The kills, some of these kills are a little bit off the wall, but it's still fun. It's got an intentionally cheesy vibe in some instances, but it doesn't stray too much into the corny. Like, it has intentionally cheesy moments, like the trampoline kill is a little bit on the ridiculous side, the head turning around, being broken backwards. You know, there's like intentional corniness to it, but like, it's fun. It's a fun, it's not too corny that it veers into cringeworthy. It's like, you know, it's like a joke that we're all a part of, like an inside joke that we all get, if that makes any sense. It really plays on 90s horror slasher tropes and really plays with a lot of the ultra violence that was in 80s movies, and it kind of combines those two together and just makes something unique and fun And I have a great time with this movie. I really, really enjoyed it. And, you know, it was surprising to me because I didn't think it was going to be like that good. I thought it was going to be like an okay film. And it turns out to be, you know, one of my favorite holiday-themed slashers, especially Thanksgiving. This is my number one Thanksgiving themed horror films. So, you know, for what there's not much to choose from. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. But just like that, we are out of positives. So now it's time we move on to the not so bright side of things with. So for the negatives, there's only one real big thing that I kind of take issue with. I don't kind of take issue. I do take issue with it, but that is the killer reveal. So I had the killer in this one figured out pretty early on. Whenever Newton, the guy that plays Kincaid in Scream 3, whenever he says,
"But you gotta be careful who you trust,"
I was like, you are the killer. And I was right. You know, a lot of the times when people are very abrupt about don't trust anyone, they are the people you don't want to trust. It's a trope that happens in a lot of action movies that have like a twist ending or whatever, and it's in some slasher movies, I would say. But like, you know, that was the big giveaway, and I was like, oh, so he is the killer. And then, you know, the more people started dying, the more the red herrings are being removed. I was like, oh, so he is my only suspect now. Yeah, that was, you know, that's to come with the territory. You know, I've been watching horror films for a very long time, so, you know, certain things you kind of get that pattern recognition for. But it's not even so much the killer reveal, it's how he was revealed and his motivation for killing everybody that really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. You know, how he's revealed in this was Jessica, the main character, notices a certain amount of foliage on his boots. His boots were dirty with the dirt, and there was like flower and foliage from the area that she was just at, so obviously he's the killer. And, you know, she has a piss poor poker face, so like he realizes that she knows, and then he goes on his big evil bad guy spiel. You know, the first time that I watched this film and watched the reveal happen, I was like, well, maybe that's part of the intended corniness. Like maybe they tried to play it as like tropey or you know, intentionally goofy, but on this most recent rewatch, they were being very serious in this whole thing. This is one of the more serious moments of the movie, and it's like, well, that's kind of dumb. That's the foliage on his boots was what gave him away, and like, dude didn't even try to deny it. Like, oh, you must have figured it out. Must have been my boots.
If only you'd been stuck on the fence a second longer. It's like fumbling on the 1 yard line.
Like, he could have like tried to defend himself at all, but no, he just immediately goes into like a bad guy. Here's my entire plan, and here's my motivation. I knocked up a pregnant woman that was gonna leave her husband for me, and then she died in the Black Friday thing, and that's why I started killing everybody. And it's like, oh man. They were going really good up until this part. Like that part rubbed me the wrong way. But like,
My wife left me and Amanda put me back together. I loved her. She was gonna leave Mitch, but then you and your friends took her from me.
This scene out of the whole movie, just it feels the most out of place. Like everything else was pretty good up to this point, but this one scene in particular really just kind of takes me out of it. Like, that's what you went with? That's how you decided to play this? All right. But that is my only real negative for this film. Like, everything else is pretty good about it. It's nice and bloody. It's fun. It's funny, and it does all the things very well except for that ending killer reveal. Like, even the action sequences at the end, those were even good, and the way the movie ends with the dream sequence ending, you know, that was fun too. Everything else about this movie was really good except for that killer reveal. Apparently that's a hard thing to do, I guess, because like nobody seems to do it right. Nobody seems to do it in a satisfying manner. So yeah, that just That's my 2 cents. Nobody can do a killer reveal quite like, Scream did back in the day. Everything else has seemed entirely too try hard or just lazy, which is what this one feels like to me. It feels like we got to hurry up and end this movie. So let's go ahead. Oh, you noticed his dirt. That seems clever, right? That seems clever. You noticed the dirt and you gave it away with your poker face. Yep, that's the killer reveal right there. Other than that one stupid thing, everything else about this movie I thoroughly enjoy. And that is going to do it for the review portion of the video. Now let's go ahead and move on to our next segment, which is... So my favorite scene in this film is going to be the dinner scene. I love a good dinner scene whenever fucked up shit's happening. Everybody's, tied down in their chairs and dude serves up a roast human being that is, dressed like a turkey for Thanksgiving, and I thought that was pretty awesome. It was in the teaser trailer or the fake trailer, and I like that they capitalized on that and actually put it in this movie. That's one of the bloodiest scenes in the film, so obviously I'm a huge fan of that. So that is my favorite scene of the film. All right, so let's go ahead and score this and then get out of here. What do you say? When it comes to Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, I'm gonna give this a solid 8 out of 10. That killer reveal was weak and left a lot to be desired, but the rest of the film is great. I think it's fun, especially if you like old corny slashers of the 80s and 90s. This is very 90s coded slasher film, and I loved the fuck out of it. Took me back to a better time, you know what I mean? So that is just about going to do it for me. I hope you guys all have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I hope the dinner conversations aren't too awkward, but they're gonna be. So if you liked the video, let me know by leaving me a like. Comment down below what you want to see on the channel next. I will do my best to accommodate. I really will. And until next time, my name is Nightshade. This has been The Night Shift, and I will see you in the next video. Stay spooky, my friends.